Are you looking to cut down your debt? Well, to have an effective debt repayment strategy, you have to include negotiating with your creditors. Negotiating with creditors can be challenging, but it's essential when you're dealing with debt. Now, here are 3 steps to help you negotiate effectively. Number 1, confirm the amount of debt that you owe. First, verify that you owe the debt that you think you owe, the total amount. Review your records and ensure that the debt is legitimate, that there aren't any fraudulent charges from others on your credit card. Now, if there's any discrepancies, address them before proceeding to the next step. And then next, calculate a realistic repayment plan. Understand your financial situation and determine how much you can realistically afford to pay every month. And be honest with yourself about what's feasible. Number 2, reach out to your creditor. Direct communication with your creditor is crucial. You can contact them by phone or email. And usually this information is on the website. It's definitely on your credit card statement. And the phone number is also on your credit card itself. When you reach someone, explain your situation. Express your willingness to resolve the debt, that you're not trying to get out of paying what you owe. Be prepared before contacting them. Make sure that you've gathered all relevant information, such as account details, account numbers, your payment history, and any financial hardships that you're currently facing. That way you can negotiate effectively and thoroughly. Number 3, negotiate a settlement. Be clear about what you want. Do you want lower interest? Do you want the debt amount to be lowered if you have the lump sum, if you have a lump sum amount of money in your account and that you can pay off? Sometimes creditors are willing to accept a reduced payment, but they might want to close your account. So you might want to consider that. Because if you close your account, then it will hit your credit score. I paid off credit cards in the past, and I did it, but closed it as well. Like, I wasn't negotiating anything. I just paid off the account and closed it because I just felt that I had too many credit cards, and it really hit my credit score severely. So it might have been 5 points. I really don't remember. It was so long ago. So I learned a lesson from that. So if you're trying to get a reduced payment, it might require you to close your account. So be sure that you're willing to take that credit score hit. If not, the better way to go may be to see if you can get a lower interest rate. Now, when you're speaking to the representatives, be polite and persistent in your negotiations. It can take more time, so it may require patience on your behalf. Now, if the initial offer is rejected, consider increasing it slightly. Again, whether you're asking for lower debt or you're asking for lower interest. So maybe have all that written out to be specific about what you want. And then whatever negotiation you reach, agreement that you reach, get it in writing. You want to ask for a written confirmation detailing the terms of your settlement. This protects both you and the company, the credit card company. All in all, remember, honesty, persistence, and clear communication are key during debt negotiations. While it's possible to negotiate on your own, you might want to consider seeking professional advice if you find the process far too overwhelming. Are you ready to escape the 9-to-5, generate wealth, and live life on your terms? Whether you are a corporate executive looking to invest in a franchise opportunity or a business owner who wants to scale by turning your business into a national franchise brand, franchising may be the best kept secret you never knew about. Joining us today is Faizun Kamal, an award-winning franchise growth advisor, nationally renowned public speaker, and best-selling author. She is the dynamic CEO leading the Franchise Pros, a strategic franchise growth advisory. Faizun and her team provide services in consulting, development, growth advisory, and investments in premier market opportunities. Through franchise consulting, her team empowers clients to make the bold transition from employee to entrepreneur. Faizun's best-selling book, The Right Franchise for You, Escape the 9 to 5, Generate Wealth, and Live Life in Your Terms, serves as the go-to guide for thousands, helping them discover their perfect fit franchise. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. And that was quite a mouthful.
So I don't want to assume that everybody who's watching understand what a franchise is. Please give us the most basic definition.
Oh, I love that. I would say, Sunita, a franchise is a business that is scalable, meaning it is a business model that you can literally take and plop anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world, and it gets up and running in a short period of time. That's what a franchise is. And to take it a step further, the best known example of a franchise would be McDonald's. So think of a McDonald's. Take the model, plop it anywhere you want in the country. In fact, with McDonald's, plop it anywhere in the world, and it's up and running. That's what a franchise is.
And I was obviously one of those people who didn't understand the term because I assumed a franchise meant just that you have several locations. So, so a franchise is I can purchase into the model or the business idea and everything, the information is already laid out for me.
That's right. That's right. So you are on the right track. A franchise is any business that comes with a playbook. So think of a manual that lays out, here's how you do what you're supposed to do. Here are our best practices. This is how you do A, B, and C. It is laid out for you as a franchisee coming into that particular brand. The beauty of a franchise is, so for example, if you think about it, if I were to become a franchisee with McDonald's, I'm going to keep using McDonald's because that's easily the most recognizable brand in the world. I don't know how to necessarily make a burger in under 2 minutes. But guess what? When I come into the brand, McDonald's hands me a playbook and says, Faizun, here is what the assembly line looks like. The first person takes the 2 sides of the bun, they slap on the patty, then the next person puts on a piece of lettuce, and then the next person puts on a tomato, and then the next person puts on the pickle. I have no idea how it's built, but I'm just saying, right? And then at the very end of it, you get the burger that is ready for the customer. Everything in the business has a playbook, Sunita. That is a franchise. And that is what attracts so much interest from people who have never done whatever that business does, because they don't have to create everything from scratch. Make sense?
Wow. Yeah. And I think it cuts through all of the hard work, because I think a lot of people don't realize when you start a business, you spend so much time laying out all the minute details, and it takes a lot of time.
Right. So I'll take it a step further if you'll allow me. I'm going to make some assumptions here because we are meeting for the first time, but let's take your business. You run this amazing podcast and you bring in guests from different industries. Okay. Might there be people out there, Sunita, that might say, this is what I used to do in my prior life and career, and I'm really good in how I present myself, and I'm great at talking to people, and I'm great at interviewing people. Man, I would love a business where I just went out there and I interviewed people on my podcast for a living. If there are people like that, could you take everything that you have done in your business, all the systems and processes you've created, could you put that together in a playbook? And then you say to the world at large, any of you who have ever been interested in running a business that does blah, 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 I have created the playbook for you to create a successful business around that.
Okay.
That is how a franchise comes about.
Okay. So as a business, and you actually help business owners scale their business into franchises. And I think most businesses have procedures. Like I'm very much a step 1, step 2 person, flow chart or procedures.
Ooh, that makes my heart so happy. I love it.
Even for this, just to make sure you get everything done properly.
Yes.
So if someone already has that mindset with their business, and what makes a business owner decide, okay, I want to make this into a franchise?
I love that. Quite a few things, Sanita, but I think really, if you think about it from a very practical, granular level, 3 things, 3 constraints. And this is what we find in the conversations we have with entrepreneurs around the country. Capital constraint, where I will hear the client say, Faizun, I have maxed out credit cards. I have taken out my money in savings. I have gone the loan route. I have an amazing business, but I simply have no more money to put into it, but I want to grow. How can I do that? When you turn your business into a franchise, your franchisees are investing their money into buying a location of your business. And then they're spending their life energy and their focus and all of that, building up that location of your business. So capital constraint. The other is what I call the people constraint, where entrepreneurs will say, I work 24 hours every day and I still am never able to get it done, but I want to grow, but I'm constrained. I've hit my upper limit. How do I do that? Well, your franchisees, in essence, are replications of you as the founder CEO. So when your first franchisee comes in, you have essentially, Sanita, scaled yourself by bringing in that person who is now working essentially in growing the footprint of your brand.
Okay.
Those would be 2 of the biggest reasons that people franchise.
So a clothing designer, maybe she's a small town clothing designer in the city. She wants to expand her business. Someone comes to so that person will come to you to set up their business as a franchise, and then other people will buy that franchise and open it in another city, and then someone else will come in. So you're expanding your business, but other people are running it and you're making money from it rather than you expanding your business and having to hire a team and spend more money.
Did you take a peek at the slides I typically use in the masterclass? Because yes, that is exactly right. So, something entrepreneurs will tell me, Sanita, what if I decided to open up location number 2, 3, and 4? Mm-hmm. Why couldn't I do that? Do I have to franchise? No. Franchising is one growth strategy. The problem, though, with opening up multiple locations is, guess who's ultimately responsible for the hiring, the firing, the day-to-day fires, the headaches? If somebody doesn't show up, somebody has to fill for that person. Who's still responsible for all that? You. In a franchise system, however, your franchisees are now responsible for the hiring, the firing, the day-to-day operations of the location, not you as the franchisor. What are you responsible for? You are responsible for ensuring that you are providing the kind of support that your franchisees need to be able to launch successfully and grow their locations.
While bringing in more revenue, basically.
Right. That is right. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
This is like a hidden secret because, I mean, you always hear of people expanding their business on their own, but I don't have one friend who has expanded their business as a franchise.
Mhm. Okay, so it's actually quite poignant what you said. Something I have always said. It is very difficult to be it if you have not seen it.
Mm,
Right? So many times, and we do these franchise masterclasses around the country. The thing that continues to always surprise me, sometimes in a sad way, is how many entrepreneurs, and I will tell you, overwhelmingly, they happen to be from our Black and Brown communities. If you don't even know that this option exists, of course, you're never going to think about this. So that first step in education is just simple awareness. This is a strategy. You can grow a location, you can buy into another business and add to your existing business, right? Different. But almost it's fascinating to me how still so few people think about franchising as a viable scale strategy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So at what point will a business owner, should a business owner determine, okay, I'm now ready to expand as a franchise?
The very sort of quick and dirty answer to that, Sunita, would be the answer to one question. And the answer to this question can only be one answer, and it's got to be yes. If it's a no, then it's a different conversation. And the question is your business currently profitable?
Ah.
Think about it. What is one of the biggest reasons that somebody will raise their hand and say, Sanita, I want to buy into your franchise?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they will say that because you have shown them a path to profitability in your business. And you're saying to them, I am also now going to give you the playbook that shows you how you can create your path to profitability the same way that I did mine.
Got it. You can't teach what you don't know.
Beautifully said. Yes, indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. So
Okay.
profitable.
So if we can shift it real quick, and of course,
Absolutely.
feel free to shift back. So so when I think of someone buying into a franchise, I think of someone who has to have $100,000 to buy. So how does that break down, the
Yeah.
affordability of it?
Yeah, I love that. I will tell you what you just said is one of the biggest myths in franchising. And I say this with love, my friend, because again, there's so much mystery around franchising. It's fascinating to me. Must you have $100,000 in order to invest into a franchise? Not necessarily. So my answer will not please any of your listeners. I will say that first. The real answer is that it depends. So what does it depend on? It depends on that particular individual's financial profile, among other things. Do they own a home? Do they have monies in a prior retirement account? How much do they have in liquidity, in cash? There's a whole host of questions that we take them through. So you just have 100K in cash and you think you're ready to jump into a business. Well, if you have a family, do you plan on feeding them ramen for the next 18 months? Right? These are the kinds of things that I think it's very important for us to consider so that we are not putting all of our eggs in one basket. And then after the fact, we're trying to figure out how to get ourselves out of a situation. So I would say it depends, Sanita. A good rule of thumb might be, even though I hate putting numbers around it, you should look at having anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 in savings set aside, right? Okay. This is your cash cushion. This is sort of your safety net. Mm-hmm. I am never a proponent of getting yourself into a situation where you are now financially over leveraged. I literally had this conversation this morning with a client. And it's exactly what I said. I said, listen, there are many businesses that don't cost an arm and a leg, but the returns are robust. Why are you so eager to drop $500,000 when you don't have to? And in some cases, the returns from those businesses that cost more may actually be less than these businesses that we've presented to you. Franchising is very nuanced, Sanita. It's not necessarily what meets the eye.
Okay. So if someone comes to you, they want to invest in a franchise, do they usually already have an idea of what type of business, or do you?
Yeah. Most times clients, so they will say things like, I take my family out to pizza every week, so I think I'd like to have a pizzeria.
Hmm.
And I'll smile and I'll say, okay, well, let me ask you a couple questions. When you become the franchisee in a pizza chain, what are you doing?
Hmm.
What do you mean? Well, you are now the franchisee. You're the owner of that location. What are you doing? Are you sitting out there eating pizza with your customers? Are you standing in the back, rolling out the dough? What you like to do does not necessarily translate into the business that you're going to want to run, right? So a lot of clients come with these sorts of thoughts, which is normal because they've been a consumer. So they're thinking from the consumer point of view. But then we start to shift the lens and say, okay, Sanita, let's talk about what you've done over the last 15, 20 years in your career. You used to be in a Fortune 15 and, you have a background in marketing and you you managed a team of people, you did this, that, and the other. We start to get an understanding of what are the core skill sets with which you're coming to the table, number one. Number two, before we even get into that conversation around skill sets, we've already done your financial viability assessment. It's kind of like if you're going to go look at houses, are you not going to get pre-qualified before that? Makes no sense, right? So there are a couple of things we take candidates through because we want to understand as much as we can about you, the client, the candidate, because it's not just about the money, Sanita. That's the other thing. Most people think, Faizun, give me the franchise that makes me the most amount of money in the least amount of time. And my answer to that always is, when you find it, will you let me know? I would like to know that, right? Because the question is, it really depends. But more importantly, it's never all just about the money, Sanita. What kind of lifestyle are you looking for? You used to be in corporate America, and let's say you got laid off, right? You're in your mid-50s, and you had this very stressful, frenetic pace that you lived with. Maybe you no longer want to do that. Yeah. What kind of lifestyle are you looking for? I have had clients who have said to me, literally, they have said this to me, I don't have the best marriage, and I missed my children growing up. At this point in my life and career, Faizun, I would like a business that allows me to spend time with my spouse and my now grown children. Yeah. Right? So these are the things that we try and understand because, again, it's a very nuanced landscape, right? Yeah.
Okay. So, that covers a lot. It gives a lot of clarity. How does, okay, someone comes to you to start a franchise or to buy a franchise. Is there an upfront fee with you, or is there a percentage? That way people will have an idea. It's like, I'm going to reach out to her, but can I afford her?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's take the two buckets. So the first bucket is called franchise consulting. That is the work that we do to help a client find the right franchise business to invest into. So we do the matching, right? We take them through this educational process and we help them figure out this is the right brand for you. Okay. In that work that we do, we are compensated by the franchisor of the brand that they get into. We are a matchmaker and they pay us a referral fee for bringing them a well-qualified, financially vetted candidate. That's the arrangement. So much like if you ever use the services of a headhunter or a realtor, the services are paid for by the seller. In this case, the seller is the franchise brand. The candidate is the buyer. So does that make sense?
Yeah. So, and I'm guessing the franchisee pays your fee out of the money that they're getting from the person who's buying the franchise. Am I using the terms right?
No, I get what you're trying to say. The candidate never pays us. They never pay us. Mm-hmm. We are paid by the brand that they're buying into. That is the.
So I guess what I was trying to say, so the brand, I was using the wrong term, I guess, the brand who's selling their franchise, a part of their franchise, then they're able to pay you from the money that they've gotten of the person who purchased into the franchise.
The brand pays us every single time.
I love that. Okay. And I love the educational aspect of it, because you don't want someone to drop 30, 40, 50,000 into a business, a pizza business, and realize they can't stand being in the kitchen.
Again, I think it's very important to be cognizant of who you're getting into business with. You want to find a partner in your search journey that isn't trying to sell you something as quickly as possible. You want to find a true partner that does educate you. What are the pitfalls? What are the holes in the road? What are some of the barriers and obstacles that you have to navigate around? Are you asking the right questions, Sunita? Mm-hmm. So, you're looking at these 3 brands that we've given you, and you're really loving this one. Well, let me play devil's advocate. Did you consider blah, blah, blah? It is having a partner that, because they have what I call franchise eyes, they're able to give you a second set of eyes that you yourself do not have. I want to find someone like that, because the opposite of that is really what is prevalent, unfortunately, in this industry. So again, this is where I think discernment and judgment become important, where you really want to be careful. Look, this is my life savings that I'm typically going to be putting into this business. I want to find somebody who appreciates the gravity of that. This is a big freaking deal for me. I'm not going to do this lightly, right? So I love that you asked that. Yeah, absolutely.
And then my other question is, my audience are women 40 and over. Of course, the women probably in their before 60s are probably just looking to get out of corporate America. Are you finding that more retirees are coming to you? Because of course, retirement is nowadays is not true retirement. Many people are leaving their corporate American jobs, quitting, retiring rather, and they don't want to sit around. They want to start their own businesses now. So are you finding a rise in people getting into franchises at retirement or just before?
100%, Sunita. So, in our industry, the average age at which somebody becomes a franchisee is 52. Think about that for a moment, right? Think of where you are at age 52, what you might have done in your career up until that point. Think of the level of maturity that a 52-year-old we would typically expect to have. So these are not coincidences. There are these demographics that we have typically worked with over the last 8 years that we've done this work. Corporate refugees, corporate executives who got laid off, they retired, but they're not ready to retire from life, from work. Corporate refugees, right? Veterans, huge category that we work with. Veterans who have transitioned into civilian life, and now they're like, oh, what do I do with my life now? Before I had a playbook, they told me what I needed to do. They are some of the most incredible franchisees, because guess what? They can follow a playbook like no one's business. Veterans, corporate refugees, veterans. A third category, this is huge. I love that you asked this. Women who are in their 40s to 50s, sometimes even younger, and they have realized corporate America is still stuck in the dark ages. If they have young children, if they have aging parents, if they have personal responsibilities that make it difficult for them to have a regular 9 to 5, they're considered as not being as ambitious to their male peers or female peers who do not have families or young children. I certainly faced this when I was in corporate. There are these preconceived notions that play out in reality in not so great ways for women who find themselves in corporate America. So these ladies, they say, this is BS. I know what I can do. Let me go figure something else out where I am living life on my terms. Because with a franchise, Sunita, you really are able to build the business at your pace. So if you have young children, if you have an aging parent or a parent who's not well, and you have personal responsibilities that you need to do whatever you need to do between 10 and 12 every day. Well, what job are you going to have that allows you to do that? With your own business, you are absolutely able to shape your workday to be what you need it to be, while taking care of the things you need to take care of at home. So some of these are just great examples of demographics that are naturally drawn towards franchising.
Yeah. And real quick, I actually just met a few months ago a friend of a friend who owns about 6 franchises, and she built that while maintaining her sales job in corporate America. And apparently that industry is making changes. So she's about to leave, but she's already comfortable financially. Like, she set up a different option well ahead. So it's always great, regardless of your age, I think, for the ladies out there to consider planning in advance. And sounds like you need to reach out to Faizun and at least find out what options. So please share with us, how could a potential client reach out to you? Any webinars, anything educational you have available? Of course, your book as well.
We just did a workshop this morning, but there will be many more coming. You can find information definitely on our website. That's the franchisepros.net, not .com, .net. I live on LinkedIn myself, and I have been told, I have not investigated the viability of this, but I have been told that I'm the only Faizun Kamal on LinkedIn, so I don't think it's going to be super difficult to find me. You can reach out to us at info@thefranchisepros.net. We try to be as responsive as possible. Sometimes we do drop the ball, and we say this with humbleness to give us some grace, because yours truly does travel quite a bit, and so that kind of creates some tension sometime. But folks can reach out to us in a number of ways. We are very active on social. Reach out. Happy to chat. It's such a wonderful avenue for people looking at something that, frankly, they might not have ever considered before.
Yeah, thank you. You've educated me today.
I think you give yourself far too less credit, because you actually know way more than you let on, because you kept sharing these anecdotes. No. For having me. This was a blast.
Thank you so much, Faizun. Thank you so much for joining us.
You got it. Thank you.